All right. So what I was talking to Kathy about this morning, and I was talking to someone else about it the other day, was her question to me was, I was feeling so happy a few weeks ago, and all of a sudden, that happiness has disappeared, and I feel back. I feel like I've lost it all. And I said to her, what happens when that happens? What happens to us is we try to grasp. I'm just going to mute people that are still unmuted. Robin, if you could unmute, could you mute yourself? I can't seem to do it. What happens is we think, oh, I was so happy for a few weeks. Something's gone wrong. What did I do? What did I do? How did I get that happiness? And we start to try to grasp hold of the happiness that we had a few weeks ago or last week or a few days ago. And so we feel sad that happiness, that happiness is not here now. But the better way to think about this whole process is that I'm here to practice forgiveness. So I orientate my mind to wherever I am every day, if whatever's coming up is for forgiveness. So my life is about forgiveness. My life is when I wake up in the morning, I join with God, I do my lesson, quieten my mind, and I do my RFD or whatever you do in the morning to orientate yourself towards practicing forgiveness. So they're all practices: meditation, doing your lesson, joining with God. They're all about moving from the ego mind to the Holy Spirit mind, to wrong mind to the right mind. So that's our daily dedication, is forgiveness. And so you're going to have periods where all of a sudden you just feel really happy and you just feel it's effortless and you do your daily thing. But during the day, instead of the ego being like really rampant in your mind, it feels like it's got a little bit quieter and those thoughts aren't right at the top of your mind, and you just feel this happiness and this joy, and you're experiencing more of the right mind. And so you have periods where you just feel, I feel actually really happy, feel really content. And then, a few days later, or a week later, or a month later, all of a sudden you don't feel that anymore. You feel discontentment, you feel crappy, you can't remember any of the lessons from the course, you can't think of anything, you just feel overwhelmed with, just feeling upset, tired, irritable, frustrated. So the best way to think of those periods is that here I've just been through a period of peace, and the reason why I had that peace was from all the work that I did, all the forgiveness applications that I did leading up to that. And then I had a period of really nice peace, and then I'm getting some more darkness to come up to the light. So now I turn and reorientate myself and say, okay, I now have to activate that strong willingness again to do the work. So what's coming up in my awareness today? And that's another layer. So as I said the other day, sometimes the forgiveness circles around. So the lesson comes up. So as I said, you'll feel sometimes it's the same thing, it's the same thoughts that come around. So rather than thinking, oh no, I was so happy the other day, why am I still thinking these same patterning and conditioned thoughts, just say to yourself, I have to practice forgiveness today on this. this is my job today, to allocate more quiet time to go within, meditate. So, okay, Holy Spirit, you see, you can use this group for this, because this is a forgiveness group. If the forgiveness group isn't on, you just use your morning time. Okay, this is what's coming up. Become aware of the thoughts and just give them over. I don't want them. You take them. I want your thoughts, Holy Spirit. So if they're judging somebody else, or they're judging a situation, or judging your living environment, judging your children, judging the coronavirus, judging politicians, whatever it is, whatever fear it is. And I used to be, when I first started doing the forgiveness really vigilantly, I pretty much knew what I was upset about. But towards the end, I couldn't, it seemed very vague, and I started to just say, well, I can't really get to the specifics of it. It felt like a general thing. So I would just say, okay, whatever it was, I just gave it over. So, and we have many tools to help us practice forgiveness. So the tool is the lesson. You can apply the lesson to it. You can do the RFD process. There's little prayers all throughout the course. Like when you read the text, you'll come across sections of the text where he says, oh, if you're feeling any fear, just say this. And he gives you a little prayer. And so all throughout the course, he's offering us little things to say to ourselves. So there's not one thing that works. It's whatever works for you. It's a tool. So it's like if you were going to paint a wall, you could use many paintbrushes to paint it. So this is forgiveness. You can use all the little tools of the course, and you can use, a lot of people do forgiveness processes based on the course, you know, like the 6 Steps for Freedom, and even the Byron Katie process is exactly out of the course. You'll find all those 4 steps and the turnarounds all in the course in some way or another. So the practice of forgiveness, so when you go from a really happy period, and Mike's just coming in. I'll just wait for Mike. Hi, Michael. Welcome, love. So, Mike, I'm just talking a little bit about when we're practicing forgiveness quite a bit, and then we move into we have periods of sort of happiness and joy. And we have a couple of days or even maybe a week where we just feel really light and airy and we're happy. And then all of a sudden we're smack bang back in something, and it feels like we never had that mind of happiness, and the happiness is forgotten, and we try to reach out and grab it and say, what did I do wrong? Why did I? But if you reorientate and say, no, the next level, the more stuff's coming up for healing. So here I am, I've had this beautiful period. It's shown me what the end result's going to be. When I've done all my forgiveness, that's where I'm going to be living. I'm going to be living in that contented, happy mind. But all the stuff all the darkness in my mind has to come up to the light. And so this is my process. This is forgiveness. This is what I'm doing. So if I don't do it now, I'm just going to have to do it in 10 years' time. So why don't I just say, okay, today this stuff's coming up, so I have to do my practice of forgiveness, rather than getting irritated. What? I have to keep forgiving this stuff. I have to keep doing it. I don't want to do it. I just want to be happy like I was last week. You're fighting. The Holy Spirit's allowing the darkness to come up. The lesson comes. He says your lesson's presented to you time and time again. So when I say I have a relationship with someone and my lessons are coming up for me, I'm being shown where my attachments are. Nikki said, I had a little holiday in Happiness Town and now it's time to go back to work. Yes, that's a great analogy. I had a little holiday and now I've come back to work. So rather, you know, when you get back to work and you get back to your job, you don't sit and grasp hold and say, why aren't I back in that town, that happiness town? Why aren't I there? So remind yourself when that happens, I'm just here, I'm back doing the work, and that happiness will come back. It will. As I do forgiveness, the benefit is the happiness and the peace. And I might spend, a couple of months doing very deep forgiveness work, but it does have a payoff. It will come up because the practice of forgiveness always leads to peace. So it's always a really good reminder to remember that when we shift from that happy space back, rather than grasping, which I did. I remember my first time it really happened to me, I thought, what the hell happened? Why am I feeling like this again? I want that back. And then I remember I had a couple of days like that and I really felt this guidance coming through and saying, no, anchor yourself now. Look at what's coming up for you right now. This has to be forgiven. So, and this too shall pass. So the periods of happiness pass, and then the periods of when further things in your mind come up for forgiveness pass. So everything passes, but there comes to a stage where that peace of mind won't pass. When the world is forgiven, as he says, when you've forgiven everyone and you've forgiven Jesus, forgiven God, you've forgiven the world, you've forgiven everything, there will just be gentle peace and that won't move. That will be, that quiet tranquility of mind. So that will not pass. So now I'm going to pause the recording and it's people to share. Okay, so I'm just going to, if it's okay to comment on something. So what was coming through just now, just to remind everyone, which is a constant reminder over the years from the spirit to my mind, was any time that I'm even slightly upset, I have another desire than the desire for the peace of God. And you can become quite really quickly aware of the desires when you feel upset. This is one way to practice forgiveness really quickly. When you get into really becoming aware of your desire, you'll see it takes time to sort of say, what is my desire here? But you will see it. And then you give that desire away and you say, well, if I desire the peace of God only, that is really the goal of the course. So if you have a desire for your body to change, you're desiring the body to change in some way. If you're desiring the rules of the government to change, you have a desire. And really the forgiveness tool, and we talked about the different processes, it can be, okay, I see my desire now, I let it go, and I desire only peace. And I find that practice working in with the other lesson, I allow everything to be as it is. In other words, I let go of my desire for my body to be changed or laws to be changed, and I allow it to be. I just allow it. I let everything be as it is. And it brings peace in those two things working together. So desire should only be for the peace of God. And let that be. So that is our, if we have that desire, then everything will just fall into place. So I'm just going to pause the recording again.